I think the way you look at the NFC right now is that you really have three strong football teams that are legitimate playoff football teams. The rest of them that get in are going to get in because of the way the scheduling is and the way this new, the 17-week schedule has played out. This is the first year I think I've seen it maybe two other times, and we've talked about this, where a team with a 500 record or maybe down one game from 500 has gotten into the playoffs. And I believe Seattle did it once. And I can't remember.
No, not the Giants. The Washington football team did it last year. They had a losing record, but won their division.
Yeah. That tells you how bad the division was.
Mhm.
So it's very rare that you see that in a 13 or a 16-week schedule, back when there was a 13-week schedule, for anybody that doesn't know that there was one at one time. Or 14-week schedule, I guess, or whatever you want to call it. But it's you're letting a lot of teams in that, which, hey, that's great. They made the playoffs. I guess that gives more entertainment, more ratings for the city that they're in. And it gives them an opportunity to play in a game that maybe otherwise they would have never played in. And maybe it helps them along the way the following year, makes for more competition in the league. But you're going to see a lot of drop-offs really quick. I mean, it just is what it is. Some of these teams that make it to the playoffs aren't going to last. They're going to be blown out in the first quarter. It's obvious.
No, not seriously. I think when it comes to playoffs, it's going to be very interesting. We don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
I mean, there's many different things that could happen in the play. But I think, when it comes through it, this game is for the Chiefs, is like, you need to treat this like a playoff game. From here on out, you need to treat every game like it's a playoff game because you don't know what's going to happen.
Exactly.
You want to see what everyone can do. And especially, I think one thing we got to learn from this team that Brett Veach was able to get Byron Pringle, Turk Wharton, and then there's one other guy there was another undrafted player we have on our team that's
Darrell Williams.
And Travarius Ward. Those are three undrafted players that had in our last game that were very impactful. They did not spend a draft pick on them. These were three undrafted players that Veach sought out and found.
Yeah.
These three players have a good chance to help us win this game this upcoming Sunday and also help us in our playoff push. We've seen what Travarius Ward can do. He's been very consistent. He doesn't get the props. Turk Wharton is on his rookie year out of Missouri S&T. He is D2 school. He's done a phenomenal job. He had a nice strip sack against Roethlisberger this last Sunday. He's had a pretty decent season for a first year as a rookie.
Yeah.
When you're also looking at it, also Byron Pringle, man, out of Kansas State, JUCO, went to K-State, now here. Yeah. Bro, I knew he was good because I watched a lot of Kansas State football. My parents are really big fans. And I was like, okay, we signed. Okay, that's nice because I've seen what he can do. Look, I think we might find another option. In the event to help with Josh Gordon too, I think we're going to be okay. Because Byron Pringle, these last couple weeks, I've been watching Chiefs highlights the last couple of days. He's starting to come up in these big moments more and more. The first time it was against the Cowboys. No, I think against the Raiders the first couple of times. Now against the Cowboys in this last game, I'm like, hey, he has a really good chance to really help us. And I think he has the confidence. So having him is going to be very, very beneficial.
Yeah, and I think his play has actually helped McCole Hardman as well.
For sure, because it allows McCole.
Yeah,
and McCole and we tell you what, he's not a typical wide receiver. Now, and I'm curious for what you think, JP. Do you think they should try to make him line up in the running back position?
I think they should. I think they should put him in kind of how they do with Tyreek sometimes, and he's got the speed to get around the corner. And I believe even that jet sweep or the reverse that we seem to always not do very well with. I think he has the speed to be able to turn that corner and get the yardage that we need, that a lot of people get when they play that, And it seems like, weirdly enough, before we got Melvin Ingram, we got burned on that play a lot. I mean, from opposing offenses, that
they always got that end around us. And I think the defense is kind of prepared for that for the most part.
Yeah. And I think he has the speed and he's able to make the cuts to get in and out of traffic. And you've seen last week, he made a phenomenal catch in the end zone. Had a few great catches, but I do believe he'd be great out of the backfield. And they're going to experiment like they do with everybody, and they're going to find what fits them the best, and that's where they're going to utilize them at. McColl did a fantastic job in 2019, but it was a different wide receiver core. We didn't have, this year we didn't have a Sammy, and we didn't fill his spot. So until Josh Gordon.
And I think Byron Pringle might come into that role low key, to the extent where he's going to sneaking on people's radars.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, he's been playing lights out as well, and I think Josh is he's going to play a bigger role as he moves along. And honestly, I really hope and pray that they bring him back next year. Him and Melvin.
I don't see why they don't bring back Josh Gordon. I really don't. They need to. I think he's beneficial. I think when he's shown what he can do, he just needs some more time. But from other than that, I think he has a really good chance of helping us.
Yeah. And look at what this is. I think the greatest thing about our football team. You look at the players that we have. If you take away Tyreek Hill, take away Travis Kelce, and take away Patrick Mahomes. Take those three out of the equation.
Mm-hmm.
Look at the caliber of players that we have on our football team that are in their rookie contracts, undrafted free agents, undrafted period. And look how great they're playing versus teams that have all the big name players that are struggling or may not be even making the playoffs. This is what has propelled us to be such a great football team, not just from a GM perspective and a head coaching perspective, because both of those and only those two guys are responsible for bringing these players in. But you have to look at it from a coaching standpoint, because when it comes to that, you have guys on our team, a defensive coordinator, a head coach, and select other few coaches that have really groomed these guys to play the position very well, basing it upon Andy's and Spag's guidance. Some of the guys wanted to go, there was a couple of coaches that wanted to go against the grain for a few weeks, and
we saw what that did, and they're not going back to that. I can tell you that. They're
going to pay the ultimate price at the end of the season. So regardless of whether we win the Super Bowl, go to the Super Bowl, or don't, we won't see those guys back here next year. Matt House ended up getting the defensive coordinator job in USC.
No, LSU.
Or LSU, I'm sorry. And USC, I was thinking of, I had another person in mind, but it's to me, I think that's a good fit for him. He's done a good job with us.
I think he's done a really good job with our linebacker core for the most part.
Yeah.
I feel like.
Yeah, he's done a good job. He's groomed the guys to be better and better. And a lot of that too is the players are helping other players.
And
this
is a team. They're willing to help everyone. That's
exactly,
what we need.
Exactly. And everybody takes the good with the bad, and that's what I love about this football team. I mean, I was sitting there laughing at Mahomes because he was teasing Willie Gay, just the other day over a college football game. And to me, it's just when you have that kind of camaraderie, it's a culture changer, but it's also a game changer. It changes the way you play the game of football, or any sport for that matter. Continuity is everything, and this team has it. And they fought through the adversity, and now look where they're at. And I love that. I love that about our football team. It's just a culture that it's second to none. No one else has this culture besides us. I can't think of another team out there that is gelled and so connected as ours. And I don't know if you can, but I don't know of another football team.
No, I think this team, we're in a really good spot.
Yeah.
Very good spot.
Just a personal connection between player to player and coach to player. Well, most coaches to player. There's not another team out there that has that kind of connection, I guess I should say. Or I guess for the lack of better words, but that's what makes our team special. It's not just the greatness of Mahomes. It's not just the greatness of Andy Reid. It's the camaraderie and the brotherhood that they put together. And for anybody out there that's ever played a sport, for any competitive sport, believe me, that can make or break you. And I played for a team that had a guy on there that, believe me when I tell you, he did everything he could to make sure that he was the spotlight guy. Nobody liked him. To this day, nobody likes him. Mm-hmm. And my first encounter with him was not the greatest. I'm not going to get into what happened that day, but it wasn't a good, but it wasn't a great meeting. I should say. And it did hamper a lot of what that baseball team did for many years. Was he a great ball player? Yeah, he was. But was his arrogance did his arrogance overshadow his greatness more than anything you can ever imagine? And it overshadowed the team's greatness. It overshadowed the other players, the guys that really deserved the credit, that were in the trenches that never got their name called. It was always one guy, George Brett. Brett did this, Brett did that. Brett chased a guy with a baseball bat. Brett, he wasn't the only guy that got us there. And he wasn't the only guy that brought them to a World Series. He wasn't the only guy that got them to the playoffs. He wasn't the only guy that got him anywhere. That team was loaded with talent, but it was overshadowed a lot of times because of him. So that's, and when you listen to football teams that talk about, or when you listen to even analysts that talk about football teams, well, this team wouldn't be anywhere if it wasn't for that one guy.
It's a team effort. It's like the Chiefs.
Yeah.
People like to say, Mahomes, Mahomes has done a lot of it, but if you didn't have Tyreek Hill, if you didn't have Sammy Watkins, if you didn't have Sammy Watkins, Travis Kelce, your player, it's a team sport. You have to have good, and people get mad all the time. I'm like, look, Brett Veach got these guys to help us win. You can't fault the guy. Oh, his weapons are better. I'm like, as the job of the GM, you're supposed to help build a good team. So it doesn't matter. If your GM he wants 399, he wants all 99 overall players, if you really think of it. Or close to that, you can't help you win. That's what they're looking for at the end of the day. No one's going to just take someone less just to make a point. I mean, that's not how it works.
No. And even if you do take someone less, but the one thing about Veach is that if he takes somebody that may not be quote unquote the best at whatever his position is, he understands that we have the coaching staff to put him in a position to be the best. If anybody can do it, it's our coaching staff. The main coaching staff. I'm going to say that. I'm going to emphasize that. And that's Andy Reid and Spags. Everybody talks about Brady. He's a good example about how he changes every, the two teams he's played for. And Brady's won 7 rings. Brady's this, Brady's that, Brady. Look, give credit where credit's due. Okay. Mm-hmm. His defense, all of his defenses throughout the years have won multiple games for him. Won multiple Super Bowls because his Super Bowl stats and his playoff stats, for the most part, are minuscule. It's been everybody else on his football teams and a few extras that have helped him along the way. And if you would have put him, I can tell you now this now, if he would have been with the Detroit Lions from 2000 to 2019, I'll just ask you, where do you think he would have been?
Well, he would have struggled. And the thing is that the players aren't as it's a team effort in the day when you look at how that works, because Belichick, he did his own thing and worked with Brady. And that's how a good thing. Mahomes is working with Andy. So it's how you complement each other, the defense, the coordinators you get around your players, and the players you bring in to help build up the team. I mean, there's just different things like that. We can't just say it was all one player sometimes. It's a team effort and coaching effort too. In the scouting department, because Belichick is really good at finding players. He finds a lot of no-name players, and they do really well in his defense, and that's kind of the last you ever hear from them. That's kind of how we see things. But I think when it comes to the end of the day, that's why the Chiefs fans, we need to be thankful, because Veach has been able to find so many players. like a Byron Pringle, like a Turk Wharton.